Welcome back to the channel for part 2 of my conversation with Mehdia for the latest Canon releases. Today we're going to be going through the R1. We do already have a video out for the R5 Mark II, which was released at the same time. So if you do want to find out about that, make sure you go and check out that video. Mehdia, we've got a lot to get through.
Again, yes.
The R1.
Yeah, so this is another very, very exciting camera.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've already made that teaser about, yes, we're working on one camera, because everyone has been anticipating a 1 series camera. I mean, currently the 1DX Mark III, well, just before this launch, 1DX Mark III was still our flagship camera.
Right.
So we didn't have a mirrorless flagship camera. This is the one. So this is the one that everyone has been waiting for.
Yes.
The R1. And as you said, it is packed with so many features, new features, improvements, as you'll see once we start going through that. The R1 does feature or benefit from, again, brand new sensor, so back illuminated stacked sensor. The great thing with this sensor, again, because of the fast signal readout, meaning the rolling shutter distortion has been massively reduced. You can also, you could almost compare it to the 1DX Mark III performance when using the mechanical shutter. So you can basically just about imagine the improvements, especially if you're comparing it, as I said, to the R3, for example, because they might look very similar in terms of size. So 24.2 megapixels for this brand new sensor.
Right.
Speed, again, we can't have an R1 without that high performance, high speed. 40 frames per second.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a lot.
Plenty of frames to work with. But if you don't want the 40 frames per second, or if you want that flexibility to fine-tune that, then you can go down to 30, 20. And similar to what we said with the R5 Mark II, you can obviously customize it, going down to even 1 frame per second, assigning a button to switch from a high speed to a lower speed, or vice versa. What this camera benefits from as well, which is a big one, I believe, for the EOS R system, but EOS in general, is this accelerated capture. And this is what allowed us to add so many features on the camera and allow the camera to do so much more. So we, as well as the DJI X processor that everyone is familiar with, we have the DJI accelerator. Again, the two working together, plus this brand new sensor, meaning they can process and analyze large volume of data. We're not talking just about the image, we're talking about the autofocus as well, using deep learning technology. Hence, we see that this camera features what we call action priority. So we give you a little bit more details in this video. There is also registered people priority. We also have eye control autofocus. Again, we'll give you a little bit more details on that as we go. Video, so this is still a hybrid camera. So you can do video and you do have the option to record up to 6K, 60 in RAW if you want to.
Now, I know that this shares a lot of similarities to the R5 Mark II in terms of autofocus, but it also has a few extras. So if you could talk us through the autofocus features, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, as you would expect from a flagship camera. So this has the best autofocus and tracking you would expect. So any other camera in the within the EOS R system. The R1 feature what we call cross-type autofocus. So our cameras, current cameras, so the R3, the R5, you do have vertical line detection, which means the camera will look for horizontal contrast to engage focus. With the R1, it's actually sensitive in both directions. So you're looking at vertical line detection and horizontal line detection. So it's a lot more accurate, especially when you're photographing subject with low contrast or no horizontal contrast. If you're shooting challenging subjects, I mean, shooting through the net, as an example, again, going back to football or other sports, subject where you've got a massive block of color. So again, it's quite hard to track when you're only looking at just one color, be it red or yellow, etc. this is what will give the R1 the edge when it comes to the autofocus.
But I believe we also have some comparisons to the R5 Mark II in terms of the autofocus as well. So what have we got there?
Yeah, definitely. So the EOS R1 and the R5 Mark II, they share quite a lot from the AF side. So the accelerated capture that we've mentioned on the R1, and we've already mentioned on the R5 Mark II, that obviously allowed the action priority. So this is where you can describe it as the camera can read unique actions and movements specific to football, basketball, and volleyball. So the camera uses the deep learning technology as well as advanced action recognition. So it can read the actions that the player is making, their movement, even the joint status, the ball, how the ball is moving, to make sure that the right subject is always in focus. Just need to enable that via the menu, tell the camera which sport that you planning on photographing out of those three, and then the camera will do the rest for you.
Excellent.
We also have the registered people priority. Again, the camera will allow you to register up to 10 faces, prioritize them from 1 to 10. And then on the top of that, register up to 100 faces. So 10 files with 10 faces within each of those files. So 100 faces that you can save into the memory card. So when you move in from one event to another, one wedding to another, you have those images or faces ready. You just need to upload them and add them to use on the camera there and then. So as I said, useful for weddings, useful for sports, corporate events, and even in politics, for example. And the great thing is you can combine the registered people priority with the action priority as well. So if you have specific players for that team that you want the camera to prioritize and keep in focus, you can do that as well.
Now, the one thing I noticed immediately was the EVF.
Yes.
So I guess that's to incorporate the eye autofocus, but also we've got an improved EVF.
Definitely. I mean, as I said, I love the size of the EVF on the R1. Yes, as we said with the R5 Mark II, the R1 features the eye control autofocus, but it is a better, more accurate version of what we have on the R3. So it works better because we've improved the detection algorithm. So in terms of detecting the eye movement, we've increased the size of the eye detection area as well, hence the size of the outer side of the viewfinder. And then even the rate of detecting the eye movement has been doubled if we were to compare it to the R3. But I think the bigger improvement, if we were to compare it to the R3, for example, is the resolution of the viewfinder.
Yes.
With the R1, you are looking at 9.44 million dots. That's almost double the resolution of the EVF on the R3.
Yeah.
And you really need to look through that viewfinder to believe the quality of that viewfinder. Again, very, very customizable in terms of the size of the image that you want to see through the viewfinder, and then the information that you want to see through the viewfinder as well.
I can attest to that. I was looking through it earlier on. It's absolutely incredible. You're not going to be disappointed with this at all. You mentioned earlier on about the shooting speeds up to 40 frames per second.
Yeah.
What else can we expect?
As well as I said, the 40 frames, and then the fact that it is very customizable. What you also have, there is this new feature called pre-continuous shooting as well, which, I mean, as I said, there are so many applications where this can be useful, especially when you're dealing with subjects that you can't predict their movements. Wildlife is an example, but I'm pretty sure there are other genres and subjects that behave the same. What the camera will do is it will capture up to 20 images before you fully press the shutter.
Right.
So maybe when you press the shutter, you think, oh, I've missed it. The camera didn't actually miss it. If you had that enabled, it's all there. The images can be captured in JPEG, in RAW, or even in HEIF. So you have plenty of options in terms of taking advantage of that new feature.
Fantastic. Like the S5 II, this has the dual recording function as well, is that right?
Yes. So again, we don't want you to miss out on capturing the action in stills and in video. With the R1, you can also record video, uninterrupted video, same time as taking images. even in continuous shooting. So again, we're still looking at full HD, up to 60 frames per second if you need to, and then images just around 18 megapixels, which is plenty of megapixels with that, and up to 10 frames per second if you want to do continuous shooting as well. Again, if you're doing that remotely, so with Bluetooth remote or via the Camera Connect app, you still have the option to do so.
Fantastic. Well, as we've already segued into the video capabilities of it, what else does it offer on the video side?
So we've already mentioned the 6K 60 RAW that the R1 can deliver. You also have the option to record 4K up to 120 frames per second, again, for those into slow-mo. 2K and full HD up to 240 frames per second, again, crazy. Similar to what we mentioned about on the R5 Mark II, you do have the tally lamp option. There is also, we talked about the pre-continuous shooting on the stills. We have pre-recording on the video side, where the camera can record 3 seconds or 5 seconds before you hit the record button. So again, if you're filming wildlife, probably as an example, that can make a massive difference.
All the difference.
External recording, so you can record 6K RAW externally if you want that, and the camera will record the 2K proxy into a memory card on the camera as well.
And what are the memory cards?
So with the R1, you do have 2 CF Express cards.
You do some fast speeds on these.
Definitely for both stills and video, that can make a difference.
Absolutely. Could we go through some of the actual physical attributes of the camera?
Yes. So again, you feel the weight difference when you pick up the R1 against those actually used to using the 1DX Mark III. The camera, if we take the lens off and battery and memory card, you're looking at 920 grams, which is not that heavy. No. If you were to keep in mind that the 1DX Mark III, without battery and card, you're looking at 1.2, or just over 1.2 kilograms.
Right.
So you do, I mean, that helps, I guess, with using heavier lenses if you're using the R1. Also, for those that record video, we have a full-size HDMI as well. We do have a faster Ethernet port, 2.5 gig on the R1 as well. So if you're using the wired LAN and transferring photos and video, it will be a lot quicker and faster at doing that. You still have the multi-function shoe on the R1, so you can take advantage of all the accessories compatible with this. On video side, you have Tascam XLR adapter. We also have the DME1D mic that, again, you can attach or use with the R1. And then the speed lights that we have as well, like with the EL5 and the EL10. The battery is the same as what we have on the R3 and the 1DX Mark III as well.
Well, I think it's fair to say that I've taken up more than enough of Mehdia's time this afternoon. She's been very gracious talking us through so many of the key features. If we have missed anything and you do want further information, make sure that you click the link in the description. Make sure you drop a like on the video, as it really does help to boost the video. And we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone.